Okay, everybody, welcome back to part 2 of my version of Talk Wrestling News. Now, as I mentioned at the end, I'm not just talking about what happened with Daniel Bryan and how it compares to what happened with Muhammad Hassan back in 2005. I'm also here to talk about TNA news. Now, as you know, TNA Slammiversary was this past Sunday. Now, this past Friday, though, Dixie Carter said there was a big surprise coming TNA's way. Major changes, if you will. Now, we didn't know if the big surprise was going to be this Sunday's Slammiversary or not. Well, the only surprise that occurred at Slammiversary was Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer finally made his TNA debut. Now, a lot of people probably figured Tommy Dreamer could have made his debut probably in April or May, but instead waited till June to make his debut. The reason for this is because Tommy Dreamer has some other prior engagements with other independent promotions like Dragon Gate and so forth. Now, what is the big surprise a lot of people are wondering? What changes are coming to TNA? Well, one of the changes that have come to TNA is with Explosion. Explosion now has Jeremy Borash and Taz as the commentating team, and SoCal Val as the ring announcer. That's right, Jeremy Borash is the play-by-play guy for Explosion now, not Mike Tenay. And SoCal Val is the ring announcer for Explosion, not Jeremy Borash. Excuse me. So that was the first change. Another change, but what is the big change though? What is the big change? Well, the guys at ADTV probably figure that, well, one of the guys over at ADTV figures that the big surprise TNA's got coming is possibly they're going to drop pay-per-views. And my first reaction was like, what? What are you talking about? There's no way they drop pay-per-views. But this is just their opinion. He feels Dixie Carter might make the announcement that pay-per-views will be dropped. Why? Because TNA really doesn't sell many pay-per-views. And if they do, then that's a miracle. But they don't really sell that many pay-per-views every month. So he probably figures that TNA is going to drop the pay-per-views, and that since Spike TV needs the ratings, probably say, okay, on a Sunday evening, we're going to have every month on a Sunday evening. Basically what they're saying is that what CJ at ADTV is saying is that he feels they're going to drop the pay-per-views, keep the pay-per-views themselves, but air them for free on Spike TV. Now that sounds like a good idea that would really help expand your audience, but I don't think that's going to happen. But what I see could happen, if that is the case, this is what I see as a major announcement. This is what I see. I see the major pay-per-views of TNA being pay-per-viewed. I see Lockdown, I see Slammiversary, I see Bound for Glory. I see the 3 pay-per-views, maybe even Genesis and maybe even Turning Point being the ones. That's what I see. I see 5 pay-per-views out of the 12 pay-per-views they air being aired on pay-per-view, and I see the other 7 being aired as free television. I mean, Spike TV has a deal with the UFC to where the UFC sometimes will air one of the events, one of the 100 events, if you will, for free on television. So that is a good. So in a way, that is a good point that CJ brings out, but it's not that good. But the way I look at it, excuse me. But the way I look at it, if CJ at ADTV is right, the way I look at it is they're going to take 5 of the 7 pay-per-views, the ones that I mentioned, still air those on pay-per-view, but then take the other 7 and say, okay, we're going to broadcast you for free on Spike TV. Because in a way, not only would you garner, if you will, or gain more fans and expose your product to more fans 7 months 7 out of the 12 months for free, but it would also get them hyped up for the pay-per-views that they would actually have to pay for. So that would be a good initiative right there. But still, is that the big surprise? Is that the big change? No one really knows. In fact, I just read on WrestlingNewsWorld.com that if you go to the premium news section, that it says Dixie Carter is basically wanting the backstage crew, the people that does production and everything, to figure out what could be the surprise. Now, if she wants the backstage crew to figure it out, what does that tell you? That could either mean, like I said, that we could end up going in that direction to maybe 7 of the mega events of TNA are for free and 5 of them on pay-per-view. Excuse me. Or we could end up hearing the news that TNA Impact is going to finally start going on the road, which would really help them expand the audience. Now, in other TNA news, now I know some of you probably don't read spoilers or anything, and if you do, then that's okay, that's your choice. I mean, I read spoilers too. But if you do read spoilers, especially TNA spoilers, you may have read the fact that tomorrow night on Impact, as well as on the 24th edition of Impact, the June 24th edition of Impact, you might be noticing that Abyss is starting to go towards a heel turn. And the question is, where did this come from? Well, apparently, the heel turn begins tomorrow night, during the main event, if you will, of Impact. Just watch for it. Now, why would this happen? Well, the heel turn also continues on next week. On Impact, on the June 24th edition. Well, Abyss cuts a promo to Hulk Hogan saying, hey, I don't need this ring anymore. I don't need this jacket anymore. Heck, I don't even need these sheep of fans anymore. Because what Abyss does tomorrow night, he mentions in his promo on the June 24th edition that they, if you will, told him to do it. Told him to start acting like the way he should, I guess. I don't know. And basically, that's about it when it comes to the Abyss heel turn. But here's what's ironic. I don't know if it starts this week or next week. But as you all know, at Slammiversary, Tommy Dreamer made his TNA debut. But, as we see, I think maybe a little bit this week, perhaps not, but mostly next week on the June 24th edition, we see, from what I read, Dreamer, Richards, and Raven sitting in the crowd together. And they're sitting in the crowd together doing a Team 3D match, as well as doing an Abyss match. And you think to yourself, could that be that? With that, you kind of, and if you don't know, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? Well, apparently it means TNA is going to get an ECW invasion. That's what it looks like. And if they are the ECW alumni that I mentioned, along with maybe a few others, then perhaps that's who they, that Abyss talks about, are, the ECW guys. Because he mentions in his promo, and I'm not trying to give too much away, he mentions in his promo that Dixie Carter, that Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, and even Dixie Carter will not be able to stop them once they arrive. So it makes you think if maybe they are the ECW guys. And the question is, where are they going to go with the storyline? Another question now is still, where are they going to go with the Sting storyline, which everybody considers the best Sting storyline they've seen in a long time. Where are they going to go with it? Well, the question is, did Sting get to Abyss and tell them the truth and reveal the truth to him? We don't know. But he's still feuding with Jeff Jarrett. Basically doing an interaction between the two next week. Sting tells Jarrett, you want to walk with them, you're going to fall with them. So, really that's about it. And that's all I'm going to say on my TNA, on my news for TNA. And thank you for watching this two-part of my version of Talk Wrestling News, and I'll talk to you later.